What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, I am your host, AC Reviews the World, and we are at the next episode. Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. Today is Monday, August 17th, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get into the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to believe it, but I believe it. But let's get over into it. I'm trying to jump right into it now. The first topic we're going to be discussing today, y'all, is we got to go over to a crazy case where hold on. See, I got stuff messed up. Hold on. Y'all gonna see me doing a little bit of my editing. Hold on. That's fine. We good. All right. The first topic we got to jump over into today, y'all, is we have to get over into a crazy case out of Polk County where this mother has been sentenced to life in prison because she ended up beating her 4-year-old adopted son to death. If you didn't want him, you could have just said something. It's a tragic story. Let's get over into it. We're going to look at it when it first appeared to us 2 years ago, and then we'll get over into the most recent, her being sentenced to life. Let's get over into it and see what we can find out.
As we speak, this Polk County mother is in jail in a cell accused of beating her 4-year-old son to death. We want to warn you the details in this case are disturbing, and it has a local neighborhood in shock tonight. Investigators released videos to us which we are choosing not to show. They show what deputies say was a pattern of extensive abuse.
10 Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst spent the last few hours scouring the area and knocking on neighbors' doors to piece together what led up to this.
Tonight, Patricia Boyer-Santazaire is here at the county jail in Bartow facing charges of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and witness tampering. All this after she took little Brian Boyer to a hospital 1 week ago. And soon after, deputies got a call that something was horribly wrong.
What we've learned during this investigation just turns our stomach.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said Santazaire adopted the 4-year-old from Haiti and brought him to Florida last year. Last week, she brought him first to this hospital in Haines City after he was weak and shaking uncontrollably. He was flown to another hospital where he died the next day. The medical examiner saw injuries consistent with abuse, including damaged internal organs.
As the autopsy went on, they found different layers of bruises and injuries from past beatings.
At first, Santazaire denied ever hitting the child, but as investigators kept digging, they found 2 videos on her phone. We've chosen not to show the videos because they show child abuse. One shows her throwing Brian into a pool with his hands tied. Another shows her beating him while he's on the ground.
They did the right thing. They truly did the right thing because there is no way you adopt a little boy from Haiti. And I don't know if it was your sick dream to torture this child, but you are the worst type of human being alive. This is crazy, y'all. Let's keep going into this.
And he's not even resisting it. It's just like it's a normal occurrence.
The mother and her adopted son lived in this home in Davenport with another adopted teenage son and her husband. Little Brian was in pre-K at Lothman Oaks Elementary, where counselors have been assisting staff and student families.
And despite his abusive treatment, they said he was a happy child.
Santazaire made her first court appearance this afternoon, but she didn't have a lawyer present, so the court continued the case. But she may be back in court as early as tomorrow. Tonight, the 16-year-old adopted son is in protective custody.
Yeah, because you don't know anything of what happened. That 16-year-old could have been going through the worst of it. I wonder how long he was actually in their care. Because if it was just as long as that as the 4-year-old, or since he was 4. That's a crazy thing to think about. But let's get over into this next video where she is being sentenced to life in prison. Now, question, should it have been the death penalty? Let's get over into it.
The Polk County woman who was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole today for abusing and killing her 4-year-old adopted son back in 2024. UCLA's Grant Palmer joins us live from the Polk County Courthouse with more on this case. Grant.
Josh, it was a pretty empty courtroom today. No family members were present and no impact statements were made. It took the judge less than 15 minutes to sentence Patricia Saint-Azaire to life in prison. State attorneys Friday describing the physical abuse that 4-year-old Brian Boyer suffered at the hands of his adopted mother, Patricia Saint-Azaire.
And Your Honor saw the horrific photos from the medical examiner of what she did to that child and how his back looked, both externally and internally.
Saint-Azaire was convicted for the first-degree murder of the 4-year-old, who Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said was thrown into a pool captured on video.
We have a video clip of where that 3-year-old baby's hands was tied behind his back and she threw him in a swimming pool.
Investigators say Saint-Azaire immigrated with the child from Haiti and add the boy was only under her care for a little over a year. The judge Friday gave her the chance to atone for her actions.
Ms. Saint-Azaire, you're not required to say anything, but if you would like to say anything, now is your opportunity. You do not wish to say anything?
No.
We weren't able to speak with any attorneys after the sentencing, but were sent a statement from State Attorney Brian Haas, who said in part, quote, "The jury made the right decision in convicting Patricia Saint-Azaire of first-degree murder. The life sentence was justified. While we know we cannot bring back Brian, at least the defendant will spend the rest of her life in prison and never be able to hurt another child."
That is one of the saddest things I've heard in a long time. Now, so she immigrated with the child to Haiti. Why torture him to death? And then you record it on your phone. You are the worst type of human being. Let's keep going into this and see what else it tells us.
Saint-Azaire was also found guilty of 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of child abuse. Reporting live at the Polk County Courthouse, Grant.
It's a tragic situation, y'all. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see what else we can learn from this situation. All right, so on August 14th, Patricia was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in a Polk County courtroom for first-degree murder of her 4-year-old adopted son, Brian. So the jury previously found her guilty on July 9th, 2026 of the first-degree murder and child abuse and witness tampering. So along with her life sentence, the judge handed down an additional 65 years for 3 child abuse charges and 12 years for tampering with a witness. The child died on May 1st, 2024 after undergoing emergency surgery for severe trauma caused by ongoing long-term physical abuse. So state investigators recovered videos on her phone of her actually beating the child and then throwing him into a swimming pool with his hands tied behind his back. They said that the adopted mother attempted to coerce her 16-year-old son into lying to deputies to cover up the crime, threatening that they would both be dead if she owned a gun. The medical examiner revealed extensive internal and external injuries, including deep lacerations to the child's liver and severe blunt force trauma. They did the right thing. They truly did the right thing. There is no way in my mind that this woman right here should get anything less than life in prison without the possibility of parole. Maybe even the death penalty, because this is crazy. You beat a child so bad and you've only had him for a year. It don't matter how long you had him, but this is crazy. Rest in peace, this young child, 4 years old. I couldn't find Brian Boyer. Rest in peace to 4-year-old Brian Boyer. You should have been loved, and it's a tragic situation. Now let me know your thoughts. Do you think that the mother got what she deserved? And I wonder what all the 16-year-old son went through, because this is a crazy thing, and there are so many bad parents in this world. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a tragic case, but this is the type of stuff that we have to look at and review together. Absolute tragic. We're going to pivot over into another case that's been making its way around. Now, y'all tell me. Imagine you hire a surrogate to have your child. And the child comes back and the doctor tells you that the child is going to have a severe heart defect. You decide to terminate the pregnancy. But the surrogate disagrees and flees to Texas and ends up having the child. But right now, that is exactly what we're looking at, because this case is what's happening right now. We have a surrogate who gave birth, even though the parents wanted the legal parents, I think that's what you would call it, said that they wanted her to terminate. But the whole big legal battle was going on to see who actually is, I guess, the legal parents and responsible for the child. But let's get over into it and see what we think about this whole situation, y'all, and see what we can find out. Remember, if y'all like this type of content, the best way to show your support is to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's get over into it.
This morning, a dramatic custody battle in the spotlight between the biological parents and the surrogate who carried a baby boy.
I just know that he's a fighter, and he deserves to be surrounded by people who are 100% willing to fight alongside him.
Surrogate McKenna West wants custody of the newborn she delivered on Wednesday. At 20 weeks into the pregnancy, the biological parents faced a heartbreaking choice, receiving a diagnosis of a serious condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. They chose to terminate the pregnancy.
I didn't think that I could live with myself doing that.
West ultimately objected, heading to Texas, where abortion is a crime, for medical care and legal refuge.
We do believe that she is the mother under Texas law.
But a Texas court blocked West from asserting any parental rights, and a California court recognized the biological parents as having rightful custody.
How often do we see these kind of rifts between surrogacy and parents?
This is a novel legal question. And, for example, in this case, what is a parent and how do we define parentage?
Now, that is the ultimate biggest question. Where do you stand, y'all? Do you think, now I'm assuming since they called the parents, the biological parents, she ended up taking in their eggs and the sperm, and she just carried them in her uterus. If I'm saying that wrong, tell me. But do you think that it's the biological parents genetically, or is it the one who actually gave birth to her who should be responsible for this child? And the craziest thing I'm thinking about is, honestly, the parents wanted to abort the child. She gave birth. So are they trying to, they want the child back now? It is still their blood, but it's a crazy thing to think about. Let's keep going though.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton intervened in support of the surrogate, urging a court to block the removal of the baby from the state. The parents' attorney telling NBC News in a statement they are devastated to see their family tragedy transformed into political theater, adding their only focus is ensuring that their baby receives the medical care that he vitally needs, and that they, as his parents, are able to spend every precious moment they can with their beautiful newborn son. Now, the good news here, we are told by all accounts this morning the baby boy is doing well. His biological parents were able to travel to Dallas to be with him after the delivery. In fact, the surrogate's attorney tells us that due to the Texas court order, she was not even allowed to hold him after delivery. But she says she is still fighting to raise that child herself. Her attorney saying they're prepared to take this novel legal question all the way to the Supreme Court if they need to.
Hey, it's an interesting development. What are your thoughts on this situation? Let's get over into one more video and see what else it tells us.
Well, a surrogacy dispute involving abortion and parental rights now playing out in a Texas court. The surrogate wanted to continue the pregnancy after the intended parents chose to terminate the pregnancy following a diagnosis of a severe heart defect. The baby has now been born and is getting medical care, but the legal fight over who has parental rights, that's just starting. Now the Trump administration is also stepping into the case, with HHS warning 2 Dallas hospitals they cannot withhold medical treatment based on the baby's disability. Live now to Rachel Rebouche, who's a professor of law at the University of Texas School of Law. Rachel, the Texas court has found the intended parents and the legal parents. So where does the surrogacy custody claim stand right now?
Well, at the moment, the surrogate is arguing that the contract that she signed with the intended parent should be set aside, that a court should find it void. And if the contract doesn't exist, her argument is that she is the birth parent. And under Texas law, if there's not a judgment from another state or a validated gestational agreement, the birth parent is presumed to be the parent. So I think that's the crux of her argument, that the contract should have never existed as written.
Okay, so contract law is very solid here in the United States, and we know that these surrogacy contracts often address what happens if there's a fetal abnormality, if it's discovered during the gestational process. So how do courts handle a situation where the contract calls for one decision, but the surrogate says she doesn't agree?
Well, a court would never force a surrogate to make a decision against her will. There's no court in this country that would order a surrogate to end a pregnancy because a contract said so. That would be unconstitutional. But you're right, these provisions exist in all contracts. They try to bring intended parents and surrogates together before conception to agree on what they would do if certain diagnoses or conditions manifest during the pregnancy. Here is the rare case where the parties deeply disagree and a conflict ensued. But a court would not order anyone to do something against their will, against their medical wishes.
So
now, okay, let's think about this. Now, when a surrogate signs the contract, I want to know, did she see that line in the contract? Did she see a line saying, because I assume she would have immediately dismissed it and said, no, I'm not, I don't agree to that. But in any case, a woman's body, you can't, like they said, you cannot tell a woman that she has to get an abortion. We know that for a long time. But now that the baby is born, the parents want full custody. I want to know, how is the child likely to survive long? Are they trying to say they want to, because they said they want to spend every precious moment they can with their child. Is the child expected to live long and that's why they're saying this? Or is it just because that's their biological child, they want her back? But this is a crazy situation, y'all. And it just makes you think about a lot of different things. Let me know your thoughts. Let's keep going.
Now enter the state of Texas, reportedly monitoring these medical decisions being made for this baby. What does that mean legally, and how much authority does the state of Texas actually have over the parents' medical decisions?
The state of Texas has some power over these intended parents. The court in Texas has issued a temporary restraining order instructing the hospital, all relevant parties, to act with the best interest of the child in mind, and keeping the parents from leaving with the child until a hearing on August 25th, and essentially, vetting that the decisions that these intended parents make are in the best interest of the child, help sustain the life of the child. So the state of Texas is heavily involved in this case and will continue to be involved until the court decides that the intended parents can leave the state with the newborn.
Rachel.
This is very difficult to even think about, because they said they're going to do what's best interest for the child. But what if, let's say, a situation where the child is suffering and you can keep doing medical procedures to hope it get better, or you have the option to stop. And I can't imagine being in this type of position. I'm not a parent, and I'm certainly don't know a situation between a surrogate and what right she actually has to the child. Let's get over into the AI breakdown, y'all, just to see what else we can find out about this topic. This is a crazy situation, but this is the type of stuff we got to look at. So in a high stakes, multi-state custody dispute, McKinney West, a surrogate who fled to Texas to give birth to a baby against the wishes of his California biological parents. So the legal conflict intensified after the fetus was diagnosed at 20 weeks with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a severe congenital heart defect. Upon learning of the medical condition, the biological parents requested to terminate the pregnancy, which was in the contract, I'm assuming. West refused because of her personal beliefs and relocated to Texas, which has restricted abortion laws. So a California court ruled that the biological parents are the exclusive legal and physical custody of the child. The parents secured a temporary restraining order in Texas. It blocks West from making any medical decisions or representing herself as the child's parent. West has not been permitted to see or hold the newborn at all. The Attorney General intervened in the case, seeking a court order to guarantee life-sustaining medical care for the infant and prevent her removal from Texas. A Texas state court hearing is scheduled for August 25th to address the ongoing custody and jurisdictional claims. So the biological parents' primary argument is that West separated the child from the preferred specialized cardiac team in California. They denied allegations of withholding care and state they are focused entirely on the child's medical needs, and they have criticized the state's intervention as political theater. So are they saying that they didn't wish to terminate the pregnancy? I'm assuming I don't know. I don't think that's what they're saying, but this is wild. So the surrogate argues that she could not consent to an abortion and maintains bodily autonomy. Her legal team asserts she is lawfully the parent under Texas statute because she gave birth within the states. So the alleged of the biological parents might deny necessary treatment in assertion that the parents vigorously deny a Dallas judge ordered that the stabilization care must be provided. So legal experts note while the surrogacy contract often outlines arguments on terminating pregnancies, provisions forcing a surrogate to undergo a medical procedure or abortion are generally considered unenforceable due to bodily autonomy rights, which of course makes sense. But this is a crazy situation, and what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the surrogate should have the rights to the child? Do you think that the biological parents are correct in their thinking that they should be the ones in charge of what's best for the child because they are the biological parents? This is what she's fighting right now, and this is something we got to look at. Let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation, but this is what we got to look at. This is what we got to look at. We're going to pivot now into our next topic, and we got to go over to Lexington, Kentucky, where it looks like on, August 15th, we had a tragic shooting where this 18-year-old ended up apparently murdering a 16-year-old and shooting 4 other people, including 2 children. Let's get over into it. He has just recently been arrested. But the question is, why did he do it? Let's get over into it and see what we can find out, y'all.
One person is dead and 4 others, including a 4-year-old, are injured after a shooting at the Charles Young Park in downtown Lexington. It's our top story here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. According to the Lexington Police Department, 2 children, ages 14 and 4, and 2 adults were injured and taken to the hospital. 1 person was pronounced dead by the Fayette County Coroner's Office. As of right now, not much else is known about the shooting. Lexington Police Chief Lawrence Weathers says there is no threat to the public and is asking for any information. At tonight's Forward Together event, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear addressed the shooting just hours after it happened.
About a mile and a half from here, we've had a shooting actually since we started this dinner. Let's think about the families of those that are involved, but having lost one of my closest friends in a shooting, let's not live in fear. Let's not let it take our energy from tonight.
Let's get over into the next video.
As officials respond.
One more.
This is the moment gunshots rang out in a crowded park in Lexington, Kentucky. Here you see 2 men talking, but look in the background. There's a disturbance and a group seen backing up. Then shots fired. A woman screams for her baby. People attending a community festival ran for cover. A 16-year-old, Dejon Robertson, was killed. 4 others were injured, including a 4-year-old, a 14-year-old, and 2 adults.
We hear shots ring out. We hear the screams. And then as I'm running away and trying to shield some of the young people that were with me, there was a gentleman right beside me that got shot in the leg. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, I'm not going to make it home to my family tonight. Being in close proximity to gunfire, seeing so much trauma happening at once, it was just heartbreaking.
No one wants to deal with that. No one should be put in that position. Let's keep going.
Overnight, police announcing the arrest of an 18-year-old, Demetrius Griffin, in connection to the deadly shooting. Until Saturday night, there had not been a homicide in Lexington since February.
We're going to do our best to hold those accountable who are involved in this.
Now, there was more gunfire in Hartford, Connecticut, where police said 1 person was killed and 4 wounded. In Kansas City, Missouri, police said 4 people were shot, including a boy under 5. The Gun Violence Archive says there have been more than 300 mass shootings in the country so far this year, guys.
Absolutely sickening. But let's get over to a teen who's saying that this all needs to stop.
As officials respond to Saturday's deadly shooting, Lexington youth are coming forward. One local teenager says no one, especially young people, should have to experience the impact of gun violence, which is why he's speaking out and advocating for change. When 16-year-old Avery Adams learned about the shooting at Charles Young Park, he says it brought tears to his eyes.
When things like this happen, more freedom is taken, lives are lost, futures are lost. People lose their children.
Adams says he has a deep pride in the community that raised him and in the diversity that makes Lexington special.
Eastern Day has been a great thing. It shows, or it did show, that we can be a community without hurting each other. But yesterday's didn't help at all. If anything, it brought us down. I mean, it did bring us down.
Although officials said Saturday's shooting marked the first homicide since February, Adams says far too many youth are still being exposed to gun violence. He hopes to lead by example, showing his peers that guns are not the answer.
I would love to be able to take guns and, put a skateboard in the hand, a baseball bat, a football. I mean, we have these things. We grew up doing it. You grew up playing basketball. You grew up playing football with each other. Why are we turning to guns when we can continue going the way that we grew up?
Adams has faith in the Lexington community, encouraging others to choose unity over violence.
You're choosing the life of a coward. You don't have to. When will you see that what you're doing is pointless and it's a senseless lifestyle? Nothing good comes out of it except death and calamity, and it doesn't have to be that way. Get your education. Choose to be an upstanding person, and good things will come out of it.
That is what I'm talking about. That is a man who has his head on right, and he understands what's best for his community. But some people don't look at it that way. Some people might call him lame. Some people might think that he's not following what needs to be done. But there's too much violence in everyone's community. We can't just say the black community. There's too much violence in the world. We got to be honest about ourselves. It's a tragic situation, y'all. Let's get over into more details about the shooting with the AI breakdown. But it's a tragic situation. Someone lost their life who didn't need to. So we know an 18-year-old has been arrested and charged with the murder following a shooting at the Charles Young Park in Lexington, Kentucky, where it left a 16-year-old boy dead and 4 others injured, including 2 children. That was that 4 and 14-year-old. The shooting occurred before 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 15th, during an outdoor community event called East Ends Day. Gunfire erupted in the 200 block of Midlands Avenue, prompting a massive law enforcement response and a temporary police staffing emergency. The deceased victim was identified as Deon Robertson, who passed away from his injuries at the UK hospital emergency room. So 4 other individuals suffered non-life-threatening injuries. There was 4 14-year-old and 2 adults. Witnesses described a chaotic environment as the crowds of families ran for cover when shots were fired during the neighborhood celebration. Lexington Police Department arrested 18-year-old Demarius M. Griffin in connection with the homicide. He is currently being held at the Fayette County Detention Center on a $1 million bail. He is currently charged with 1 count of murder, 2 counts of first-degree assault, 2 counts of second-degree assault, and 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. I'm assuming because he ditched a murder weapon. The governor shared the news during the political dinner over the weekend, offering condolences for the tragic event. In response to the tragedy, local leaders and organizations, including One Lexington, have mobilized to offer mental health and grief support to the families in the East Ends neighborhood. This is a tragic situation, and it only leads to trauma. It only leads to trauma, y'all. So they have not yet publicly disclosed a motive for the shooting. Authorities state that detectives are still actively gathering information from witnesses and reviewing physical evidence collected from the scene during what led to the gunfire. The 18-year-old suspect, Mr. Griffin, appeared via video in the Lexington courtroom on Monday pleaded not guilty to the murder charges, assaults, and tampering with physical evidence. He continues to be held without bond, or held on a $1 million bond. Now, this part was interesting. And according to the legal representatives, he ended up turning himself into the authorities on Sunday following the incident. That sounds to me, I'm assuming he got a lawyer, but it sounds to me he might be trying to go for a self-defense plea. It's the most simplest thing you can plead for. And if there's evidence that can back it up, he could get away with all this. Well, I don't know. If I'm assuming the 16-year-old wasn't a part of this, but if he was, then he could get away with it. But if he was just an innocent bystander, which the others were, if you're defending yourself and have to shoot somebody and you actually hit somebody else, what is that charge? We got to think about that. So the 16-year-old victim who passed away was confirmed to be a participant in One Lexington, the city's outreach and gun violence prevention initiative. He was a student at the Success Academy, previously attended Bryan Station High School. The director of the One Lexington was present at the East Ends Day and helped shield youths during the gunfire. He publicly urged the community to reject retaliation as the investigation moves forward. That is the biggest thing. Trying to stop anyone from wanting to retaliate before, just in general, because it ends up bringing more death around. But it's a tragic situation, y'all. I wonder what his defense is going to be. But you shot children and you shot and murdered someone. If you weren't, even if you were protecting yourself, you're going to have to be held responsible for something. Now, I'm not saying he was protecting, but I'm assuming that's what his defense attorney will go for. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagreed with anything I said. It's a crazy case. Absolutely crazy. But this is the type of stuff we got to review. Now, remember, if y'all like this type of content, the best way to show your support is to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date. And thank you for all who already hit that like button. I see y'all. Thank you for watching. We got one more topic we're going to be discussing today. And this one is a crazy one. So most recently, a mother of three has all the murder charges dropped for killing her husband. Yes, I said that right. A mother of three has recently had all the murder charges dropped for killing her husband. And it seems like all this came about because they found an audio recording that proved her innocence. I like to hear that. So let's get over into this and see what we can find out. Y'all remember, if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment, leave a dislike. Let's talk about it. Let's jump over into this last section and see what we can find out. There it is. Let's jump into it, y'all.
In the big story tonight, a stunning reversal. All charges dropped against the Manassas woman accused of murdering her own husband. And tonight, prosecutors say newly uncovered evidence prohibits them from moving forward with the case against Latoya Crabb. Sydney Persing just sat down with Crabb's mother. She's in Manassas with everything we know.
Since she was arrested, Latoya Crabb has maintained she is a victim of domestic violence who shot her husband in self-defense. Now, nearly 2 years later, prosecutors have dropped the murder charge against her, admitting a newly discovered audio recording could support her claim. In October 2024, police arrested Latoya Crabb, a military pharmacist and mom of 3, accused of shooting her husband Curtis dead in their Brinkley Lane home. Today, nearly 22 months later, prosecutors dropped her murder charge.
I just wish they would have did the right thing in the beginning.
Latoya and her mother, Marilyn Martin, always maintained she'd shot Curtis in self-defense. He'd been threatening, they said, after she asked for a divorce. The night of the shooting, Latoya claimed he tried to attack her in the basement, the rest of the family upstairs.
If she had not shot him, she would have been dead. Those children would have been dead. He would have definitely killed me. She definitely saved our lives.
But prosecutors didn't buy that defense, at least not initially. Now, though, they say they've decrypted a 5-hour-long audio recording off of Latoya's laptop from that night.
We were going to go get a restraining order the next day, so she wanted the recording to back up us getting a restraining order.
Prosecutors didn't say specifically what was on the recording, just that they can't now ethically continue to trial. Marilyn told me she's not heard it yet, but was told what's on it.
You could clearly hear him threatening her and opening the knife, and he's coming towards her, and then you hear a shot.
Marilyn doesn't understand why it took so long for investigators to decrypt the file, but said she believes it sends a clear and dangerous message.
Yeah, that is the first thought. They said that this was 22 months ago. 22 months ago now, a little less than 2 years. Why does it take that long for you to declassify some audio footage, which I knew was there, and I most likely the lawyer told them? How does it take so long for me to be like fighting these murder charges when it's clearly specified inside the audio footage? I don't understand that. Let's keep going, though.
To the survivors, you don't have the right to fight.
Now, should any additional evidence change their mind, prosecutors could try to recharge Latoya. Understandably, she was not up for an interview tonight, but her mother told me she is focused now on healing from this trauma, taking care of her 3 kids, and working to get her job back.
Oh my God, how do you explain that to your children? Honestly, because it's a crazy thing to think about that. I'm assuming, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully, but I'm assuming the children seen some signs, depending on how old they are, how abusive their father could be, and maybe scared of him. But you had to kill your children's father in the house with them. That is, I don't wish that on trying to talk that through with children in any lifetime. Let's keep going and finish up this next video.
A
murder charge has been dropped against a Prince William County mother after new evidence came to light just days before she was set to stand trial.
LaToya Crabb was arrested for shooting and killing her husband back in 2024. She says it was self-defense after he threatened her with a knife.
Well, a new recording unearthed by prosecutors is what led them to drop the charge during an emergency hearing this morning. News 4's Jessica Albert was there and spoke with Crabb's mother in an interview that you'll see only on 4.
LaToya Crabb's family leaves the Prince William County Courthouse smiling as her nearly 2-year legal battle comes to a close. She was charged with first-degree murder for shooting and killing her estranged husband, Curtis, in 2024. That charge dropped by prosecutors Friday after they found a crucial audio recording in the case. This is Crabb's mother, Marilyn Martin.
We are happy that we don't have to continue to endure this hanging over her head and going to trial next week.
Crabb has long maintained she shot her husband in self-defense, saying he threatened her with a knife and sent texts threatening her family. We interviewed her while she was out on bail last year.
I try to hope for the best and just prepare for the worst case scenario.
According to court filings obtained by News 4, on August 11th, 6 days before Crabb's case was set to go to trial, prosecutors gained access to an encrypted audio recording taken on Crabb's government-issued laptop. She worked for the U.S. Public Health Service at the time of her husband's death. Crabb's attorneys say in the 5.5-hour recording, you can hear the clear, distinctive, chilling sound of the switchblade recovered at the scene springing open, as well as threats Curtis Crabb allegedly made before he was shot. After reviewing that evidence, prosecutors filed a motion to drop the charge, which a judge granted. The Commonwealth's attorney released a statement saying the recording introduces significant evidence that a reasonable jury could interpret as supporting a claim of lawful self-defense. Crabb's attorneys were fighting for this case to be dismissed with prejudice so that she would never be able to be charged in this matter again, and so that the case would not be hanging over her head for the rest of her life. However, in court, prosecutors did say they have no intention of bringing the charge back.
We're happy. It doesn't sound like it's ever coming back, but the chance that it could be brought back in the future is just, she shouldn't have to live under that.
Crabb's mother feels the same way as her attorney, but is just thankful this deeply painful chapter is over.
She's got to try and get her life together. She has not been able to heal. Sorry. She has not been able to heal from the trauma from this event. So hopefully she can get counseling to heal from it.
In Prince William County, Jessica.
Why did it take so long? That's the biggest thing I don't understand. Because she knew she had to record him because she was going for a restraining order. But why did it take so long for the prosecution to agree to look at it? I don't know what is happening. But let's look over at the AI breakdown to see if it answers our questions, y'all. So on Friday, August 14th, prosecutors dropped all murder charges against LaToya, a mother of 3, after newly released access audio evidence heavily supported her long-standing claim of self-defense. So she ended up shooting her husband in October 2024. From the day of her arrest, she has maintained that she shot him in self-defense to protect herself and her children after her husband threatened her with a knife during a domestic confrontation. Days before her trial was set to begin, the prosecutors decrypted and reviewed a 5-hour audio recording that captured her on her government-issued laptop to document the interaction. So okay, first things first. 22 months later, why are you just now decrypting this now? Isn't that like if someone tells me I have an audio recording of the attack, isn't that the first thing prosecutors look at? That just makes sense to me, but I guess I might not be a prosecutor, but all right. So according to the defense attorney, the recording captures unmistakable audio of him pulling out the knife right before the shooting. Prince William County stated that the newly reviewed recording introduces significant evidence of lawful self-defense, creating a reasonable doubt regarding the criminal intent. They formally declined to prosecute, while a novo prosequi, I don't even know how to say that, means charges can technically be reintroduced in the future. So several critical details have been released. So LaToya recorded the 5-hour Zoom interaction on her work laptop because she was employed as a military pharmacist for the U.S. Public Health Services. The laptop was government-issued device with a high level of data encryption. 22 months worth of data encryption, all right? So investigators had possession of the laptop since October 2024, but were locked out due to the security block. Police and IT experts finally decrypted and bypassed the security on Tuesday, August 11, 2026, just days before her scheduled trial. Prior to uncovering the audio tape, prosecution actively contested her self-defense narrative. They planned to argue at the trial that the physical evidence showed that she reloaded her handgun during the altercation, which they claimed proved premeditated intent. Okay, so she reloaded her firearm during the altercation. I'm assuming they're not saying that she reloaded after everything was shot. Well, that's okay. So state investigators initially believed that she had intentionally deleted the Ring security footage from inside the home immediately after the shooting to cover up what happened. The audio recording ultimately refuted the theory that the shooting was premeditated. So according to the statement and the court documents shared by the mother, Curtis had escalated his behavior after she asked for a divorce. Days before his death, he sent a text message explicitly threatening to hurt everyone inside the house, set the home on fire, and ensure she would never see their children again. Where is that text message? Okay, I mean, are they just, the prosecution wouldn't even think about that? All right. So they ended up stating that the continuous audio recording on the laptop specifically to document his verbal abuse and intimidation so she could present it to the judge to secure a restraining order the following morning. While she was originally arrested on second-degree murder and firearm charges, prosecutor later successfully convinced a grand jury to upgrade the charges to first-degree murder. She was not held in jail for the entire 22 months leading up to the dismissal. She initially spent 4 months in jail before a judge granted her a $10,000 bond in March of 2025, allowing her to live with her family under an ankle monitor surveillance while awaiting trial. So 4 months in jail, constant surveillance, and you had to pay, I'm assuming 10% of $10,000. $1,000, all for them to say, yeah, you were right. You did kill him in self-defense. The world is a crazy place, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagreed with anything I said. It's an absolute crazy case. Well, this is the type of stuff we got to review together. But that is it for the show today, y'all. We talked about a lot of crazy things. So if you disagree with anything I said, y'all, please leave a comment. I'm never saying I'm always right. I'm never gonna say I understand everything, but I'm willing to talk about it. That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with the world today. People are not willing to talk about these types of things. And if you like this type of content, y'all, remember the best way to show your support is to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos, because these videos will be broken down and I'll try to upload every single day. But that's it for now, y'all. You already know I got to play the outro. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the second show of the week. Y'all have a good day. Peace.